This is WIC's Community Close-Up, our weekly public affairs program produced in partnership with the Rapidian, our hyper-local online news service of the Grand Rapids Community Media Center. Community Close-Up is all about bringing you diverse perspectives from community leaders and organizations throughout West Michigan. This is WICE Station Manager Phil Tower. I'm in studio this week with Hannah Berry, the Executive Director of the Lions and Rabbits Center for the Arts. Lions and Rabbits Center for the Arts is online at lionsandrabbits.com. One of the best named non-profits, and Hannah is not only the Executive Director, you are the founder. That is a cool name. There's got to be a deep backstory here.
Yeah, there is.
First of all, welcome, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah, there is. So obviously lions are very different than rabbits, but they both complement each other. There's courage within a lion, and a rabbit is fast and exciting and new change. So way back when, I used to work at the Winchester on Wealthy Street in
Great
the
local
early,
spot.
yes, a very long time ago. There was no donkey. There was Grove. And just like some other spots, but very little in that area. It was a food desert, I would say, at the time period. But when I did work there, I was an artist, and I was highly encouraged to continue to make art while working there by not only the people that ran the Winchester, but the regulars there. So I had started my LLC, Lions and Rabbits. When I did that, I had a daughter at the time. I was in my early 20s and I had her, so it was Lions and Rabbits. And then, fast forward into this nonprofit world, that was even after I had this wedding venue that serviced many other things. And at that time period, I would say when Lions and Rabbits can come together, then we'll have a perfect synergy. And what that really meant was when private space invests in public space, I think, that's what I think it means. When private space invests in public space, then we'll have a actual community. It's a metaphor that's changed multiple times, but kind of stays true to the same things.
And in the real world, sometimes the lions will eat the rabbits.
Yes, sometimes they will.
But this is a really important thing that you're all about, creating community development through transformative placemaking, a lot of strategy thrown in there, and workforce development. It's really about building community at its core, right?
Yeah. Creatives are in each community, right? And each community needs a creative solution. So if we can activate creativity, then we can problem solve. And so it's pretty simple, but at the core of it, it's pretty simple. But then when you get into what that means in a complex system, it's obviously much deeper.
Creatives are really good at, even though a lot of creatives are introverts, and I'm kind of stereotyping here, Anna, but creatives are really good at finding each other.
They are.
You had a passion for creating this as a nonprofit. What was kind of the catalyst for that?
I would say there's several things. I did not want to create a nonprofit for a while. I didn't really understand and sometimes still know that there's a massive difference between what a nonprofit can and should do. And that's why we are a hybrid model. So we do have a consulting portion, and then we also do have this nonprofit lens. But in the beginning it was, well, you do this, you do this. And essentially people were categorizing us into what an arts council would do in a typical community. Arts councils are transforming completely right now. So we, I think in my mind, are just, just a little bit ahead of the curve of what does it mean to support what does it mean to support creatives through a nonprofit lens, but then also use the ability to consult, market, put creatives into workplaces. So this creative that might do graphic design into a steel case, right? And it's really this workforce development that's kind of just still missing from what our region does for workforce development.
A part of this is public health. You've got environmental health. You've got socioeconomic health, and something known as synergetics. We'll get to this. Art is, we just wrapped up Art Prize in early October. Art is an incredible tool for bringing people together, but there can be a health component in here. You say in your website it's a tool for promoting physical, mental, and emotional well-being. I would say so. Certainly creating conversation. But I really wanted to have you talk about that, how you believe it's important for the public health piece. And you're also talking about environmental health, which is a different thing altogether.
Yeah.
Can you kind of help Explain those two working together.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I was just saying that we were doing a strategic planning meeting and talking about some of the words that we're using, and environmental was super interesting because some people look at environmental health as ecology, and then other people look at as built environment. And
That's
I
a
had
good
never
difference. Yeah.
realized that until yesterday, and which is just once again where I'm like, whoa, it affects everything, right? Like
Yeah.
it really does affect everything. But I think when you like strip it all down to placemaking, people don't really understand what placemaking is, and it comes in all different forms, shapes, and sizes. And the way that we look at it is each community has such innate talent, and maybe there is a roadblock. And so how can we continue to cut the red tape so that not only people can have walkable jobs and access to healthcare and whatever in between, but then also that once they have that, that they can thrive as well. And I think that that's still like, we're still at this point in our world where we go, okay, well, you just need to have it, but that's not thriving. And so when I look at neighborhoods that thrive, they are so community centered, and it might be because they grow food off of a garden that's next to them and the community comes out and around them. That to me would be environmental placemaking, right?
Yeah.
Somebody was talking to me about this and they're like, what's placemaking? And then she was like, oh, so this is like when I go to that city and that dog bowl is always there for my dog to drink water. And I was like, that is literally the simplest form of placemaking.
Yeah.
So what placemaking is community. It's just like you re-centered a word. But the way that sometimes placemaking is looked at is build buildings, do this, do this, do this. And so we at Lions and Rabbits look at it as, yes, we do need more affordable housing. We need more access to blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, if there is no community plan and there is no rallying of voices of community, then there should be no building of, because you're not building for the people, you're building so that they come. And so when we look at placemaking, we try to be on the forefront of it and look at discovery work. What does the neighborhood want? Who's actively participating in it? Who's the young and upcoming photographer that could be documenting this, might need to get a drone license, whatever in between, and how can we really come under their wing to then implement some of the art that we know can work with their community to have safe streets, create jobs, invite people in that they want to see in their neighborhood with open doors. And maybe some of those tough conversations start to happen, but those tough conversations are happening in a different way than in a maybe city hall meeting or things like that.
I love by the way, we're speaking with Hannah Berry, Executive Director, Founder of Lions and Rabbits Center for the Arts. Lionsandраbbits.com is the website. The dog bowl example is, Hannah, one of the best examples of placemaking. I love that. And at the core is really inclusiveness. Mm-hmm. But in Grand Rapids, the Creston neighborhood and, the Creston Neighborhood Association, and then you've got the Easttown Community. So we've got all these great neighborhood groups. They all strive to have that sense of place and connectivity, but to be unique as well. That's an important part of this, right? Yep. And the art is a really important thing because it's a uniter, even for the like myself, non-artistic types, because it's something that people go, look what we're doing here. A huge mural on the side of the building or sidewalk. I mean, I'm kind of getting at the right picture here, right?
Yep. Yeah. And a lot of times I talk about what is arts and culture, right? Because culture work is very different than artwork. Arts organizations, institutions versus grassroots, that's very different. Also, placemaking is so different than all of those things. Those things belong in a place, right? But when I talk about what my job is sometimes I'm talking to city managers and they're like, well, I can't really impact that because that's that person's city. And I say, yeah, but if you were to it's a Sunday morning and you want to go kayaking, you're going to get out of your car, you're going to put your kayak in the water, you're going to get into a different city, maybe go through another one, a village in between. Say you get back on your bike, you go have lunch with your family, you go get your car needs gas. You just spent money in 3 cities. That's a place.
Great point.
And that's a place to those people, and that's a region. And so my mindset isn't just neighborhood by neighborhood by neighborhood. It's neighborhood plan with neighborhood leaders engaging them in their plan, regional plans with regional leaders engaging in those plans. And so it's really, what does it look like outside of government for community to really own placemaking? And that is what I would say like a modern day arts council would be.
How can people get involved and support you at Lions and Rabbits?
There are so many ways. So if you want art in your community, we have this whole form that you can fill out. You can contact us, info@lionsandраbbits.com, if you don't want to fill out the form at first. If you're a creative and you want to be engaged, we have an open newsletter that you can apply to. Once you apply to one of our calls, you get pinged every single time that we have a call. If you don't want to be pinged every time you have a call, you can go on and look at all of our open calls. Part of this work is like, some cities have an organization like us, and sometimes their municipality is lacking on the policy side. And so they're not being able to move as fast and things like that. And so what does a RFQ versus an RFP mean? Well, let's just get the work instead of making artists create work that's not going to be selected. So a lot of the work that we do is just in this, hey, let's get you ready to be set up. So if it's a municipality that wants it, but they want one project, great. Plainfield Township is a great example. They have just worked with Progressive AE to do all of this expansive work. They're about to be this beautiful street, right? Well, they still have blighted buildings. There's some graffiti that they want to clean up. There's multiple places where they want to do art. Businesses,
they need it. That's my
they
neck
do.
of the woods.
They want it, and they want it, and that's
Yeah.
where it is. It's a business association, it's residents, it's the neighborhood associations, it's the city. So, what's the plan? And that's what we really want to help create. I always say, if we can create that and work alongside of them, then they can have a resident continue to run whatever that plan is, and then on top of that, we're not picking up the paintbrush, the residents are. So that's where it's really, really, really powerful. Some places are like, I don't want my grass to get dirty. We're like, okay, we'll paint it with gloves. You know what I mean? So it really just depends on what the neighborhood is. Corporations, if corporations are like, hey, we want a day of caring, that's a perfect time for us to find an artist that could paint a basketball court. And we need all hands on deck because the basketball court is giant, and that's is so hard.
Company event.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we just did that. We painted 589 sidewalk squares with Amway for their Cares Day, 3 basketball courts on
Only
the neighborhood day.
589.
And so now the game of Candyland, you can go play Candyland in Creston. And so it's
that is so cool.
You can't do that with one artist. I mean, you can.
I don't want to run out of time because I've just got a couple of minutes left. It was something I saw on your website, lionsandраbbits.com. I thought it was really great. You list artist opportunities there. And just real quickly, give us the download on how those work.
Yeah, so those are open calls. So if you click on whatever they are, you can see a little bit about it, and then it heads you to a different form. When you fill out the form, hey, who am I? Can I do this project? Here's the scope of work. You upload 2 photos of the work that you've already done, whether it's a sketch or anything in between. You get put into an artist deck. So that artist deck, we sit down with a design committee. Each design committee for each project is different.
Okay.
So if it's Godwin Marcato, it's a bunch of residents from Wyoming with some city staff. They will go through every single artist that applied, and then we'll get down to 3. Those 3 artists are all paid to sketch. Whoever is the artist that's selected is the artist that we onboard, and then we work with them on, okay, maybe this mural needs a scissor lift certification and you're not, or it's somebody not local, but they're going to work with a apprentice that's local. What is the timeline and all of that? So we work with them in between. We always have opportunities like that, but there's also always opportunities within the school systems, the libraries. And so when you go to our volunteer tab, it's not necessarily always volunteer. It's what do I want to do? Because there are so many opportunities that might not necessarily be ours that we will kind of ping to other people based on if they get engaged.
And if you love what Hannah and her team are doing, you want to support this financially, you can make a donation at lionsandраbbits.com. That helps power all of these things to become real. Real quickly, if somebody's hearing us in, I'm going to throw out Coopersville, and they say, I want Hannah to make some art come alive here. We need some creative juice in this community to create place. Are you geographically limited? How does that work?
We are not. No,
Okay.
We actually have a fellowship. So we have 2 fellows right now in California, 2 in Chicago, 1 in Detroit, and they are all essentially project managing or learning how to project manage.
Got it.
Street parties and public art. So really if you have a community that you want to impact and you want a job of facilitation, that's what's missing. So we will love to work alongside of you to get that happen. If you're a municipality and you want it, hannah@lionsandrabbits.com.
Okay.
And tell me your favorite coffee shop in your region so we can book it.
We're going to have to do a part 2. I only got through like half of my questions, but I had a feeling this was going to be the case. This is great. I know our listeners are celebrating what you are doing. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hannah Berry, founder and executive director, Lions and Rabbits Center for the Arts, lionsandраbbits.com. With us in WYCE's Community Close-Up, our weekly public affairs program we produce with those people down the hallway. They're called the Rapidian, our hyper-local online news service here at the Community Media Center. I'm WYCE Station Manager Phil Tower. Thank you for hanging with us a little bit. Let's do this next week right here.